Alright, so now that we talked about empty wide Texan and bunch, let's talk about the other 5 wide set that I use, which is going to be empty wide slot. Now, audibles are up on your screen right now. You got shallow cross, 4 verticals, inside smash, and smash. Um, we're going to audible 2 these from bunch just to show you how it'll look. But basically, ideally, you have a spec catching tight end that is fast. For regs, this is pretty much Kelsey. That's about it. Um, Besides that, you got a running back, you got 3 receivers. So, first and foremost, you'll see we're going to come out in 3-3-5 Tampa 2. When you audible to this set, right, you see that it's actually decently quick. Like, it's not one of those where you got people running all over the place. So let's talk about shallow cross first. Shallow cross for me, I fade R1, I slant circle, and then I motion Thomas to the inside. This is going to basically recreate stick. Now, what you'll see is, people will just start manning people up with no really rhyme or reason to it. If they don't man people up, you're just going to be able to hit them underneath with drags, with hitches, all day long. So I'm going into the actual play setups. As I mentioned, the hitches, the fades, those are all just situational things that you can do. Throw, high point, spec catch, call it a day, right? So that's the initial setup to shallow cross. You're fading R1, slanting circle, and then motioning this guy in. Now, if you catch your opponent cross manning, right? So say they are manning him up. So if they're doing this whole spiel right here where they're taking their safeties and manning up the outside receivers, not something that a ton of people do, but you will periodically see it. So they would do something like this, to where they're blitzing. Something along these lines, right? You see this every once in a while. Your routes are still, your shallow routes are still going to be open. The drags, the slants, all of that stuff's open. The thing that's not open, oddly enough, is this post route. The post route, I'm going to go to instant replay to show it off, but you'll see, for whatever reason, this post doesn't get open against that. Now, here I'm already hit because of practice mode block shed, but you'll see that adjustment will stop that post route. What you can do to counter that is that motion that I talked about, to where we motion him to the inside. So, if we motion him to the inside, that post route will not stop it. Or, like, that adjustment won't stop the post. So, we go ahead. See right here. You see how it makes it to where that post is open. Now, whoever the hell hit me, like, that can happen, obviously, but the post route no longer will, like, run right into you and kind of stop you. You see how he's just gonna backpedal. Like, he's beat at this point. The fact that he's backpedaling as we make the break, that post route's open. So Paul Krause, dude's a goon. That's the way that you can counteract that adjustment from the defense. If they don't make that adjustment, as I just randomly flipped 5 wide for no reason. Let's see. Shallow cross. If they don't make that adjustment, then that post route actually becomes pretty good because of the fact, so like you'll see here with the mid read, pay attention to what the mid read does. You see like how he drops back to the right? You can throw that in right there. Go back to the instant replay to show it to you. A lot of people like mid reads. I'm one of them. I love mid reads But against this 5 wide, you cannot have a mid read. It will not work. I mean, you see, obviously, you got the drags open underneath. You got the slant, which will cut back open. Then you got that post route, which you really want that post route to be to the short side of the field. And you'll see that as soon as he breaks, if he's not manned up, you got an easy little dot. Mid read won't play it. Now, speaking of mid reads not playing what they should, that's the real reason why I really like this set. So you got 4 verts. 4 verts of mid read. My main setup, I broke this down in the last video. I like doing hitches to these 2 slot guys, or either in routes to the 2 slots, or drags to the 2 slots. The main difference with this setup is if your opponent gets overly aggressive with this, right? So say they're going to bite down to try to guard one of these fades, or excuse me, one of these drags or in routes. If they do that, you'll be able to high point this to Kamara right over the top. So boom, you see him break, high point. And that's one of those routes where you don't need a good route runner. You don't need anything special. That's why you can do this to a running back like Kamara, because you don't need spec catch to get the glitchy animations. You see, as soon as he breaks, you can throw this and you can high point, and you're going to get that old school rocket catch type animation. Come down with it, you know, bust a move and possibly score a touchdown. So that's what I like to do out of that set, is I like to force my opponent to guard this, you know, the drags. You know, shallow cross, you see you've got drags by Meredith, Kamara, and then you got the slant by, in this case, Ginn. Like, you're basically attacking short with that. Now in 4 verticals, your main setup is to either, as I mentioned, drag Watson, drag Meredith. Then you got the high point over the middle of Kamara. You have hitches to where if they just drop back into coverage, you see, all right, boom, high point Kamara. If they take that away, you got the hitches. Or if, you know, their user's kind of stuck in between, they can't. I'm going to go back to instant replay. The spacing on this is just too good. You can't sit on this route in the middle of the field and also guard a hitch to the right and a hitch to the left. I mean, you'll see that these guys will eventually drop back too. So in zones, no matter what the zone is, they're going to drop back to where, as long as they are a step behind either of these hitch routes, you're going to be able to throw these. It's like in this spot right here, where he's behind him, like that, I could high point that hitch. The one on the right, same thing, can high point that hitch at that point. It's going to force them to man them up. But as I mentioned in the last video, you can't cross-man it. And you can't cross-man it because it simply takes too long. Like, for them to go all the way across the field, you're going to simply be able to high point the spec, high point the hitch. It's way too difficult for them to do that. Inside smash. So inside smash, I will put Kamara on a hitch. I will put Meredith on a hitch. So now I've got 5 hitch routes. And you're probably asking, why in the world would you have 5 hitch routes? A lot of people do this right here, where they will sit in cover 3 or a cover 4, and they will just sit in the coverage D. You see this a lot out of nickel over G, right? So if they're sitting here doing this, and you've got 5 hitch routes on the field, you're just basically picking and choosing whichever one the user doesn't guard. And that includes on the outsides, right? I mean, you'll see, if they man up, those outside guys, you throw the outsides to the hitch. So in scenarios, I'm trying to think, so crossfire would be a perfect example of one, right? So let's find a crossfire, or a mimic a crossfire. Just going to come out inside smash. 3-4 odd. Every once in a while, you'll still run into people that run 3-3-5 odd. It still works. Like, I mean, the crossfires are still good. The problem is, it's just, you know, you don't see it. You don't see enough of it at this point. So you'll see stuff like this, right? So if I come out and I face a defense like this, and I put 2 hitches on the field, boom, high point outsides. I mean, it's nice having the ability to do that because you can't make that hot route. So like on inside smash, you can't put hitches on your outside receivers. So at that point, you can't really high point a smoke screen. It doesn't work nearly as well as a hitch does. So basically you're rocking all hitches. If you don't want to rock all hitches, inside smash gives you the deep corner route. So what I do is this setup right here. I have 2 hitches on the left. I have a zig, fade, and corner route on the right. So you'll see right here, zig open underneath, you roll out and hit the corner route. Now, I got hit. We'll go ahead and do it again. So right away I had the hitch on the left. We'll go ahead and try to show it to you again. So you hitch to the left or you roll out, you've got the deep corner route that's going to get over top of clouds, as you saw. We go back to 3-3-5, just because that's, like I said, this is what most people run. Empty Y slot, we're going to come out, it doesn't really matter. So, inside smashes, the main setup is the hitches. Secondary setup, we're going to look to hit that deep corner route. Now, say we're on the other side of the field though, right? So that's going to be your main setup there. The other thing that I will do is I will put Meredith or Y on a flat. I will put square on a in route. So when I do this setup right here, I like to leave Watson on his hitch, because it gives me the ability to, high point that hitch route if they get too aggressive or if they go manually chase the corner route. The majority of the time out of this set, people are not expecting these corner routes. So you're able to hit this little corner route more times than not. Problem in practice mode is actually getting time to throw it. So you'll see, I'm going to do this one more time. Pinch, crash, spy him. So you'll see that this will get over the top of the clouds, as you see right here. It's kind of a tight little window, just because Dion is so fast, but that corner route does get open. Gets over the top of clouds very easy. You guys have seen these corners before. Smash. Now smash is the play that I like to do to throw the corner to the opposite side. So my main setup is this right here, where I've got basically three fades, a drag, and the deep corner. Now, the reason why I like this setup is for people that sit with mid reads on the field, right? You'll see people that'll make this adjustment. Most of the time you see this out of dollar. People like to go to dollar when they face me. I don't know why. Don't really know why they go to dollar, but dollar with a mid read is the thing that I face probably the most. And you'll see with this, the mid read doesn't actually play the fade. Now I got screamed at, but I'm going to show it to you again because the mid read will not play Kamara on his inverted streak. It will be a free touchdown. So you'll see right here, we're going to set this play back up, fade, drag, and the mid read bites on this drag coming over the middle of the field and leaves Kamara wide open down the seams. So you'll see, boom, Kamara wide open. It's an easy touchdown. So it's nice having the ability to, hit the deep corner route, which we still have as I go back to the instant replay. But it's just another thing that it forces our opponent to worry about, right? So this will get over that cloud. Now, I wouldn't run this on the short side of the field. You would want your deep corner out going to the wide side. So if I wanted to run smash, I would want either to flip the play, for instance, or just call out like this. So if they press, you know, if I get a little bit of time, you have him down the middle of the field. You also have the corner route over the top. Because like I said, that corner route will get over top of clouds. Now, technically, smash gives you the same corner route to Watson over here on this right-hand side. So if you wanted to do that, you can still do this same thing at a smash. Say we want to throw the corner out to Watson. You could do this setup right here, where you are dragging, you've got the corner out, and you've got the same streak, you know, down the middle of the field. This will work. I had to dump it down to the drag just because corner was coming in. But this gives us basically 3 players that they have to man up. Because inside smash, the deep corner is going to the running back, right? And we already know we can't cross man it in a cover 2. So in smash, now you have the ability to throw to Watson on the deep corner route or Meredith on the deep corner route. So all 3 of those guys, Meredith, Kamara, Watson, have to be manned up. And it's just, like I said, in this scenario, we would fade, we would drag, and then if I can get time, you'll see that Watson will get over the top of the cloud flat. It actually got manned up right there by a vert hook, I think. But the cloud flat, it'll get over the top of it. I'll try to show it to you one more time. So there we go. See, the mid read still will not play that middle of the field. It's an easy touchdown. Let's see if I gave myself enough time to show that corner out. Corner out ran by Watson. Eventually he did come down, but I think the ball was either thrown or getting ready to be thrown. Yeah, so it was getting ready to be thrown. You'll see that eventually that will come down and guard the drag route. If it doesn't guard the drag, I mean, you see that it'll be open. So yeah, 3 players that they have to man up, 3 players that they have to worry about the deep corner route on, and that's just smash. So, like I said, the keys to running this set, shallow cross. I like to do the fade, 2 drags, 2 slants. Now, depending on what they're doing adjustment-wise, if they are not manning up the safety on the outside receiver, you can run it as is. If they man up the safety on the outside receiver, you need to motion him to the inside. That's the only adjustment that you want to do there. Now, with this play, shallow cross, if you wanted to run hitches, you can. You could throw all 3 of these guys on a hitch. You could also put the outside guy on a smoke screen. This is something that you see a lot in the red zone for me, just because zones don't typically guard anything. You see there, well, Kamara tried to catch it with one hand, but it was open. A lot of people in the red zone, so they would do stuff like this right here. You could man up whoever, you could blitz, doesn't really matter. But you'll see here, if you put the smoke screen on the outside, he's going to bite down. Kamara, easy hitch route. There's too many routes that they have to worry about. So that's shallow cross. Then for verticals, you either got the dual drags by Meredith, Watson, and then you got the deeper cross by Kamara. Or you could put Meredith and Watson on hitches for the high point, or you could put them on in routes. If your opponent is cross manning, so I didn't talk about this, but if they cross man those players, in routes will do really well, right? So see right here, because they like cut in and then drop back out, the crossman doesn't ever actually really play it. Um, you get that animation right there where the player's like close enough to where they can dive at the ball, but not enough to where they can actually get to the ball. And that happens a lot. You see that on ins and you see that on drags. Or excuse me, zigs. Zig routes and in routes, you get that diving animation where they just whiff. So there is a time to use in routes as opposed to drags. And that is if you know they're cross-maining. So that's 4 verticals. Inside smash, you have all the hitches. You got 5 hitches on the field. Or with inside smash, you can do this setup where you've got a zig, the deep corner, and the fade. And at this point, you're reading the right side of the field, and then the hitch back to the left. Hitches back to the left, I should say. And then you also have this setup right here where you've got 3 hitches and then the fade. 3 hitches and then the corner route. And then smash. Smash is when you're looking to attack the mid read or you're looking to get over the top of cloud flats. So you could do this right here. You can do this one right here where you got the fades. You got 3 fades, essentially a drag and a corner route. And that's basically it. You can honestly just quick hike this pass if you really wanted to. So I mean, you could do this 4 hitches and then the fade down the middle of the field. Like I said, the fade down the middle of the field is glitchy because the mid read will not play it. So you can put 4 hitches and just call it a day. Not my personal preference because you saw the safeties were still kind of in that middle of the field area. If you put the fades on the outside, you know that you're going to have that touchdown down the middle of the field against a mid read. So it's just all about figuring out where what your opponent's doing. Smash is my go-to play when I'm trying to attack down the middle of the field against a mid read. I also go to goes whip a lot when I see cover 2 because now they have to worry about the outside fade on the right hand side. So like in this scenario, I would run this where the tight end's on the short side of the field. Go whip. I broke this down already, but you would do this right here. And in this scenario, you're looking to hit Y, pass lead to the outside, easy dot. So like in a cover 2, they have to worry about the outsides. They have to worry about right down the seams. And then you also have to worry about the hitches, the drags, and then the high points. Now, there's no regs team that is set up perfectly to run the whole combination, right? But if you have a good tight end, you can high point the fades. You have a good player in this spot where Y is, you can high point those fades. So say they're blitzing you heavy, boom, you just throw the high point. Now, ideally, you have the 91 spec catch there. That way you get the one-hand animation. You're not going to drop the ball ever in that scenario. If you don't have the 91 spec catch, you can still throw that pass. You just might drop it. It's going to be very rare that it gets picked, but the 91 spec catch is truly a game changer in those spots. Unfortunately, you can't get a receiver at tight end. I've tried pretty much every different which way to do that, and you can't do it. Not out of the regular Houston book. So that's it. Just like I said, shallow cross, 4 verts, inside smash, and smash are all perfect complements to the 5 wide that we have in Empty Y Texan of Y stick, slant flood, goes whip, and fork. Only thing I haven't talked about is man coverage. So man coverage, you see people for whatever reason are still liking mid blitz. Mid blitz is effective. Especially considering people don't typically have anything for it. So I like fork. Like if people are running this, I truly like fork just because I know the flats are going to be open. I know the corner route's going to get open. I know the drag on the backside's going to get open. That's at an MTY Texan. At an MTY slot, you don't have a great option for mid blitz. If you had anything, I would say it would be shallow cross because you have the post route. But the rest of those plays are pretty much there against zone, right? So if you were hell-bent on being in here, I would go with 2 zigs. 2 zigs and a slant, and then wherever my opponent went with their user, that's who I would guard, right? Or that's who I would throw to. So you would basically realize somebody's coming open, throw the zig. You got the zigs to both sides. If they bite overly aggressive on that, you got the backside slant to the tight end. So see if he actually goes and plays that, then you would have the slant. But yeah, I wouldn't really use MTY slot against this type of look. I would stick to the bunches. I would stick to MTY Texan because I can max protect. Goes whip and fork would be my go-to. Slant flood is also a good one against man coverage because you could block the tight end, and then you'll see right here, boom, that corner route is going to get open no matter who's guarding him. So MTY Texan is your go-to against man coverage for sure. I forgot to mention that in the last video, so I wanted to talk about it here. Shallow cross would be decent if you went with the dual zigs, but you can still get sacked before the zigs get open. But yeah, perfect formation, perfect scheme to really attack the meta, which is the 3-3-5 normal. You have options to beat everything. You got the deep corner routes to 3 different players. You've got the glitchy 4 verticals route for the high point to the running back in Kamara. You got a post route that will beat crossman in shallow cross. You have everything you need to really run an effective offense. It's just comes down to how you utilize it. So obviously the whole bunch concept, bunch is amazing, right? I'm not even gonna, focus too much on bunch. But between MTY slot and MTY Texan, if you need to pick up the pressure, you go to MTY Texan because you can block the running back and you can block the tight end. You can essentially max protect. If you want to just send 5 out and dot against like 3-3-5 where pressure's not going to be coming in that quickly, I really like that. I love MTY slot against 3-3-5 just because I know I'm going to have open receivers. Last thing to talk about is how you can pick up nickel blitz. So nickel normal is overly effective because of the fact that they can just send out, they can blitz 6 people, the DN's flying off the edge. Similar to 5-2, right? 5-2 is a little bit harder to pick up because it comes off both edges. But nickel normal, blitzing 6 gets you the same thing. So if you're in these sets and you want to run, you see that they're setting up nickel blitz. They're doing this right here. They're gonna blitz opposite the corner. So like in this scenario, the DN should come in free, right? So in MTY Texan, you can simply just block that tight end, and that's gonna pick it up. So then you can make your adjustments how you see fit. You got dual drags, like you could run this setup right here. Or if you wanted to run MTY slot, you can. You would just have to block the tight end. So like in this scenario, you would have to motion the tight end in and then block as he gets there. So that's really the last thing I wanted to talk about is against 5-2 against nickel normal, if you were hell-bent on picking up pressure, that is how you would do it out of MTY slot. You can't motion the 2 guys on the left to block, or at least I don't think you can. Let's double check, but I'm pretty sure you can't. Yeah. So you can't block him. So you would have to block the tight end, and you do so just by motion him over. So go ahead. In MTY Texan, you can block by just max protecting. That blocks the tight end. You can put the running back on any sort of route and motion him over. That's going to block him there. Empty Y slot, no matter what formation, no matter what play you're looking at, you just grab the tight end over here. I'll go ahead and I'll set this up. So they would be doing something like this. You would motion him in. As soon as he gets to the DN, just like the ball, and now you're good. So that's how you pick up the pressure. I know it's one of those things where I don't really ever talk about too much, but it really, especially running a 5-wide scheme like this, it might be the most important aspect of it. Knowing how to pick up the pressure and how, you know, you can actually get screamed at, a whole nother issue. So that's it. That is the empty Y slot formation. Now you have empty Y Texan, empty Y slot. Those two formations are phenomenal against 3-3-5. 100% phenomenal against 3-3-5. Just because it spreads them out so much that they really can't blitz you. If they do want to blitz you, then they're going to just be leaving wide open things. It's just up for you to make that quick read. Like I said, as soon as I go to 5-wide as a base offense, people tend to get out of 3-3-5. I see a lot of nickel normal. I see a lot of dollar. And if you can get somebody out of the meta defense, the main defense in the game, you're already winning, and then it's just up for you to make the reads. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll get into the last couple little elements of this scheme in the next couple videos.